Hello there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jedi Knights, the Star Wars podcast of JoyClicks. I'm your host, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewie across the HoloNet, Mike Connors.
we're just what's the HoloNet version of podcasting? What's the Star Wars version of podcasting?
Holocasting, maybe? What a show we got lined up today. We got
Already.
Mando Season 2 news, a whole lot of it. Some more Star Wars video game news. Gonna dive into a recent clip of Star Wars creators that have blown up, gone viral on Twitter. And of course, this week, you and I rewatched The Rise of Skywalker, and we are going to discuss anything that has changed in our perception of it. But before that, Mike, how you doing? How's your Star Wars fandom going in this quarantine?
Honestly, I'm feeling a little, empty because we don't have any more new Clone Wars episodes. So I mean, in that regard, I'm kind of sad. But watching The Rise of Skywalker again, that was a fun little look back.
Yeah.
So things are going good. Still playing Knights of the Old Republic, taking my time.
Very nice.
Yeah. What about you?
So a couple days ago, actually, me and two of my friends that usually play a multiplayer games together, right? We were like, you know what? Feeling Star Warsy, so we downloaded. One of them had the disc set for Star Wars Galaxies, and there's a way to use a fan-run server still. So we socially distancing dropped off the discs at everybody's house to install them, and then
nice. Wait, remind me again what Star Wars Galaxies is.
So Star Wars Galaxies was like the Second Life MMO, basically, like not hardcore RPG stuff. It was basically like, if you want to be an entertainer in this Galaxy game, you can.
I see.
Okay. I picked Smuggler. We all made Zabraks. It was very fun. Game is very ugly, which then prompted us to all install Star Wars: The Old Republic. So I might give that a second shot. Maybe tonight after we record the show.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's big news. Honestly, I started playing The Old Republic back in August, but then kind of fell off.
Mm-hmm. What class did you pick?
Honestly, I cannot remember. I don't remember.
Because
what are the choices? I'm sure there are a lot.
So there's 4 like main classes for either side of your scale of lightness to darkness.
Okay.
There's for the Republic side, there is like Jedi Knight, Jedi Counselor, a Smuggler, and a Trooper. And then
I was definitely a Jedi Counselor.
Okay. The Sith side, it is Sith Warrior, Sith Inquisitor, Bounty Hunter, and Imperial Agent.
Interesting.
So,
why would you pick anything other than Jedi or Sith?
I mean, I could. So when I tried it out before, I tried Bounty Hunter, and it was like a cool setup. It was a slow burn of like, I'm stuck on this planet. I'm trying to make a name for myself, which seemed cool. From my research, people swear by the Imperial Agent. They say that's the best written story in the game. But I might go like Sith Warrior or something like that. I don't know yet.
I don't know. I feel like maybe on a second playthrough I'd choose something else, but on a first playthrough I would definitely choose some person with a lightsaber.
Yeah. So, I guess if I pick it up this week, I will give impressions on the next episode. But Galaxies was a fun 2 hours.
Never again.
Yeah.
I want to get what's that turn-based game? The Star Wars game.
Galaxy of Heroes, the mobile game?
No, it's not. It's not Galaxy of Heroes. It's like the one that was on the old PC.
I thought that was like the OG KOTOR.
No. It's not turn based. It's like a real time strategy. Like,
was it Empire at War? Is that what it's called?
Might be. Yeah.
Let me fact check that for you.
I know like somebody that I watch on YouTube plays it often. I'm not really sure. I forget the name of it though.
Yeah, Empire of War is a real-time strategy game.
It's probably Empire at War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. No, it definitely is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess since the last episode too, because that was May the 4th, I tested out Star Wars Bounty Hunter for a little bit on the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
Fun game, fun little romp as Jango Fett on the streets of the space station doing a hunt. But
man, there used to be so many good Star Wars games.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's very charming. A little rough to go back to as far as like the camera goes, but everything else was really really fun. Just revisiting it.
Nice.
But we do have some news this week, and I guess we can start off with the Jango Fett adjacent news.
Sure.
Because it is rumored, speculated. I don't think this has been confirmed yet, but it sounds like it's all but confirmed that Tamora Morrison, who, if you aren't familiar, in the live-action Star Wars films, played every single clone, as well as Jango Fett, is going to be returning. Or actually, no, I guess... Well, he's going to be playing Boba Fett in Season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Is that, like, confirmed?
It's being speculated, it's running the circuit, and a lot of outlets are reporting on it and saying, like, our sources have also heard this.
Yeah. No, I think I sent you, like, the Hollywood Reporter article about it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this isn't the first time he's acted for Boba Fett, because he did supply his own read of Boba Fett's lines for the re-releases of the original trilogy. But
I believe he may have also done some reshoots too, or that might be somebody else.
For the 4, 5, 6?
For 6, I think. But I think it may have been somebody else.
Interesting. Well, what do you think about this news? On this here show, I don't think either of us are too fond of Boba Fett out of all the Mandalorians or even clones.
Yeah, I honestly like you said, I'm not like a huge Boba Fett fan, but I think that's partly because Boba Fett didn't really have much time to, marinate in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like if you probably added up all of his screen time, it's like 15 minutes or less.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not sure what kind of level to which he's going to be active in the Mandalorian show, but it's definitely something I'm looking forward to, because I don't necessarily hate Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. He just didn't do anything in the original trilogy, in my opinion.
No, I agree. Like, he carried Han Solo. Like, he didn't capture him. Vader's the one who captured him.
Yeah, he was kind of just there.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see how they flesh him out, because I remember people were like really upset that like when they had Morrison dub the lines for Boba Fett, they're like, oh, this ruins the character. It's like, one, no, and two, I feel like he gives a good characterization to Jango Fett and the clones in the films that I would kind of love to see him inject into Boba Fett to make him more of a character.
Yeah, I mean, like, Boba Fett is supposed to be like a clone, so like, I mean, it would only make sense from point of continuity for him to do those things, and like, I was never upset that he did. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to like kind of flesh out like his character. He has like an interesting background, and for some reason, like, George Lucas decided to go even farther on that background. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good point for him to make his own name in the show. But Christian, my question for you is, do you want to see him like in a more limited role, or would you want to see him like as a recurring character?
So I would like to see Morrison playing Boba Fett limited. I would like to see Morrison playing Captain Rex. I guess Commander Rex at this point. He's been disavowed, so I don't even know. But Rex, I'd love to see him play Rex for like recurring, and then in the Ahsoka series.
True. Yeah. Is there going to be an Ahsoka series?
It's heavily rumored right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Overall, though, I guess like from where you're coming from, I hope it's not too much in there. I hope maybe like there's a one-off episode of him like coming across this ancient Mandalorian, and since I guess Din Djarin kind of made his own clan of the Mandalorian people, like going to him who was someone who left that order, maybe having an interesting dynamic there. I don't think he'd be antagonistic personally. That's not the read I've been getting from this, at least in my head. I don't know how you stand.
Antagonistic in the sense that like Din Djarin and Boba Fett are trying to like get at each other.
Yeah, like I don't think, because like Boba Fett's whole thing is a mercenary who's like whoever pays more, right? Like I don't think he's instinctively bad, you know?
No, I don't know. I guess it would depend on like what circumstances they meet under.
Yeah,
because Din Djarin is like a pretty, like after season 1, I feel like he's a pretty well sought after person in the bounty hunter community. So. You know.
Are we gonna get like Spy versus Spy Mando season 2? The whole time is being hunted by Boba Fett.
That'd actually be sick.
That could be cool. Yeah, they could do something really interesting with that, I think.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually.
Yeah. Well, maybe
if it happens, Christian, you called it.
Hey, you know what? I will happily take that.
Yeah.
And honestly, that may very well be the case because speaking of spies, we do have confirmation that director, creative lead of the Spy Kids franchise, Robert Rodriguez, is in fact directing an episode of Mando season 2.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you think we're gonna get Machete in?
Dude, I hope Danny Trejo's in this show.
Yo, what if like somehow Robert Rodriguez turns out to like he puts Star Wars like in his own universe, like you know how there are crossovers like with Machete and Spy Kids.
Yes.
Yeah, he just does that with Star Wars somehow.
That would be amazing. Like you have to assume he at least gets to voice a droid or something or an alien, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because of like all the strings that these directors can pull to get their friends in the Star Wars universe that they know are like fans or like well celebrated, like not B-list celebrities, but like they have their cult followings, you know?
Definitely, yeah.
So that'd be very cool to see if that is the case. And we did talk about the possibility of Robert Rodriguez coming into Mando season 2 when it was rumored a while back. I believe his name was thrown out there alongside James Mangold and one other, but James Mangold did shoot down. He's like, hey, I'm not doing it. I'd love to, but I'm not doing it.
I don't really know if I know who James Mangold is.
James Mangold did The Wolverine and Logan.
Oh.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's up?
I was going to say there's one other director, so I could throw that out there and we could talk about both of them if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Peyton Reed, who directed Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Also directing a Mandalorian episode.
Yes.
Interesting. I honestly don't have much to say on this.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of directors, like, yeah, they seem like good choices.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a more interesting conversation to have when it comes to film, I think, because when it's a TV show, you have like the showrunner whose job it is to sort of make it all feel cohesive. So it's like how the Taika Waititi episodes of Mando season 1 didn't feel like Thor Ragnarok, you know? It's because like he had to make it fit within this show.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a limitation for all of them, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
And honestly, like the differences between Mandalorian season 1 episodes like are there, but I think they're pretty subtle, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more noticeable for the people who are looking for it, you know, than just the average viewer.
True. Yeah.
But exciting news. I like both of their work, so curious to see how they tackle Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen Logan and Ant-Man, but those are good movies. Logan is one of the best superhero movies, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you think, similar to Taika, that a director for this season could spin off into getting their own film eventually?
I mean, I think it's always possible. I'm sure like the Disney executives, Mickey Mouse up in his big tower, is probably always scouting, you know, always trying to find more talent to throw to the wolves, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and I think there is an argument to be made that like Taika is Taika and he's very unique in his vision of things, and like just the straight comparison to the MCU, because Peyton Reed also worked in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people like both the Ant-Man movies, but it's much more modest in terms of the type of things that stand out about it in comparison to like Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So
Well, I feel Thor Ragnarok definitely had a little bit more of its own
yeah.
like punch to it.
Yeah, so I could see someone say like that's why Taika got the director role for a film in Star Wars, because they want someone who can bring their own creative energy to it rather than just fitting in with the standard and working very well in that expectation. But as we're going to get to, it feels like right now Star Wars really needs an injection of a lot of new.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it needs an overhaul.
yeah. And one last little note, this came out today. Bob Chapek, who is currently the CEO of Disney, I guess there's a weird transition going on between him and Iger. I think Iger was supposed to come back because of the COVID situation.
Iger's like still there, kind of. It's like really weird situation.
It's strange, but there was a quote today from Bob Chapek who basically was saying that Mando isn't as intense post-production as a blockbuster film like the Avengers, so he said the way they're working on it is very similar, but Mando, basically the way he alluded to this, he said like people are still going to get their baby Yoda, so like he's pretty confident that season 2 is going to be on track for coming out in October.
The baby Yoda quotas. That's a good little rhyme there, and they're filled for this year so far.
Yeah, I've seen. Okay, do you have anything else to say about Mando news?
Not really. I'm just excited for it in general.
So I've seen. Get this, Mike. If we want to talk about like social trends right now,
sure.
TikTok, pretty big, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much exposure you've had to TikTok in these weeks of quarantine, but Star Wars TikToks are a big subgenre.
Are they?
Yeah. They do very well.
I know I saw that one. So I have a TikTok, the app. I have the app, but I do not have an account because I refuse to get an account.
Sure.
But I have the app, and I did watch one. It was very funny, and it had Star Wars music in it, and so I clicked on the music, and I started looking through the rest of them with that music.
Yeah.
Which is really how you get down in the hole.
Absolutely, yeah.
But like you're saying that there are more Star Wars music.
Yeah, so I get tons of not even just Star Wars music ones, but like people doing rankings, people say, like making funny observations about the series and like comparing it to things.
Interesting.
But I've seen a handful of them include Baby Yoda merch, and I don't know where they're getting it.
Maybe it's like custom merch.
No, that looked like Disney quality, the one I saw.
Okay.
It was like a Baby Yoda cracked open a Coke with a bowl of popcorn, queued up Rise of Skywalker on Disney Plus, and that was the TikTok.
That's pretty funny.
So, honestly, if you know where to find Baby Yoda merch, let us know, because I haven't seen any.
Hit Christian up if you know how to get the Baby Yoda plushes.
Please do. Mike, we got more Bounty Hunter / Boba Fett news, actually.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, if you're familiar, in the ye old days of Star Wars stories, the banner for spin-off films.
Right. It's the solos, your Rogue Ones, for instance.
Do you remember when they initially announced the Star Wars story brand, and they announced 3 films, and then there was a rumor that there was going to be a 4th film that was about Obi-Wan?
Yeah, I do remember that. What was the 3rd film, though?
So one of them was Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
Another was Han Solo. Mm-hmm. The 3rd was a Boba Fett film directed by Josh Trank. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Right, yeah, definitely not.
And it kind of just got like swept under the rug, as time went on, as the production of these Star Wars stories kind of slowed down, became a bit more questionable.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. Josh Trank eventually left. He quit. And it was kind of... Some people speculated that it was because of the reports of how he was on set for his film Fantastic Four, also referred to as Fan Four Stick.
Fan Four Stick, yeah. Dude, that movie was terrible.
Yeah, so he directed that, and
Get out of my Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that came out in 2015, and there's a quote from some IGN interviews with Trank. Basically, Josh Trank and Kathleen Kennedy both agreed to cancel his appearance at the 2015 Star Wars Celebration, which is the same year Fan Four Stick came out. And at that event, they plan to release information about this Boba Fett film. And more recently, we learned why Josh Trank stepped away from the project. Basically, he said, quote, "I quit because I knew I was going to get fired if I didn't quit."
Oh my god. Did he actually say that?
And yes, according to an IGN interview, yes, that's what he said.
Oh my god. That's so funny.
I know, because, like, I don't recall the full case about the Fan Four Stick thing, but I think there were things of, like, him drinking on set or something, or just the production altogether being horrible, and that didn't really jive with the excitement that Disney had for bringing directors on board for their new batch of Star Wars films.
Yeah, so I mean, like, so they were going to fire him after, like, all of those reports about him being, like, a jerk on set came out, essentially? Or, like, after Fan Four Stick?
I think it's a combination of both. And it was always, like, speculated among fans that was the case. But, yeah, I guess he felt a pressure there. So
yeah,
he took it upon himself to step away.
Well, I mean, you know, sometimes you just gotta admit defeat.
Yeah.
And he did. Honestly, it seems like they probably would have scrapped it anyways once they had the whole idea for Disney Plus and The Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I'm you and I are both positive and negative in different ways on the two stories we did get, but I think both of us can probably agree that the results of canceling Boba Fett and then coming into this Mandalorian series, it was worth it.
Yeah. I think Star Wars is meant for TV more than it's meant for the film.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And luckily, there's going to be an abundance of that in the future.
Yeah, thank God.
There were a few rumors circling on Twitter recently about Star Wars TV. We're not going to dive too deep into them because they are very much rumors.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll just list off the ones that both of us were seeing pop up a lot. Mando Season 2 is going to have Ahsoka and Sabine Wren. Is her name?
Yeah, Sabine Wren.
In one episode to set up a Rebels sequel series, apparently, that is going to be animated in the style of the Clone Wars. I also saw rumblings that Hayden Christensen was in talks to return to Anakin, and that was going to be announced at Celebration alongside Rosario Dawson's casting as Ahsoka.
But that was supposed to be in the Kenobi film, or the Kenobi series, right?
Yes. It was... The report I saw said it was like... It was still being discussed the extent of his return or his role in future Star Wars of what that would be.
Yeah.
But yeah, safe to say right now with the dying down of consistent Star Wars content that there are rumblings in the Force.
True. Yeah, good to say that those are rumors. Unsubstantiated. What?
Are there any of those that stand out most to you as far as the one you hope is true?
Just the Anakin thing.
Mm-hmm.
If they can find to do it in a tasteful way.
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see an Obi-Wan Anakin flashback or something like that.
Yeah, that could be cool. That could be the steps they take to really solidify Clone Wars in the prequel era canon, you know? Like, if you have Hayden, Ewan, and Rosario able to represent live action of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka.
I'd cry.
That could fill in some gaps, Mike.
I would cry.
Yeah, that would be very, very cool. I also saw a speculation of, like, if hypothetically we get to a Star Wars Episode 10 at some point, picking up with this cast, use the Force Ghost of Anakin to sort of save Ben Solo and bring him back into the real world from the world between worlds, but that was really getting deep into the fandom speculation.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think the one that is probably most real, or like closest to being real, is probably the Ahsoka Sabine one.
That's probably the closest to being real. I think the only part of it that may be untrue is like to set up like a new series part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That one seems like the most realistic.
Yeah, I could also see maybe that reporting got a little jumbled, and maybe it's like it's setting up the Ahsoka series that also features Sabine, and it's a live action one.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is, because we've talked about Ahsoka being in Mando to do a backdoor pilot essentially. So don't know.
I mean, I think that'd be interesting. We'll have to see if it's true.
Yeah, and I do hope whatever the next series is, animated side, we get it announced sooner than later.
I'm not sure what they're doing with Celebration anymore. Do you?
Mm-hmm. I think it's like an online event. I did see that there is going to be, at least at D23, a reunion of the Clone Wars cast digitally to do a Q&A and talk about the show.
All right. So. Well, I mean, we might get something there. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a little more news that came out following up things we talked about last week in terms of Star Wars video games, specifically release dates for one of them. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
After 2 weeks of just speculation about the Lego Star Wars banner, the video game gods blessed us, Mike, because there was a leak with a retailer that it is coming out in October of this year.
Thank freaking God. October 20th, right?
October 20th is the date, yes.
Exciting.
Good date.
Very exciting news. This is really good. Good to know.
Makes a lot of sense, like if there's no big Star Wars property this year and people might be hungry for it then. Well, I mean, there's Mandalorian actually, but around October, holiday season, great gift, great stocking stuffer, as they like to say.
Yeah, that's a $60 stocking stuffer.
Yeah, that's a full gift. That's not a stocking stuffer.
Yeah, that's a gift.
I'm absolutely getting this. I can't wait to play it. I'm gonna play it the hell out of it with my brother because we used to play the old ones all the time.
Yeah, man. I think I was texting you about this. It may do me in to buy a Switch.
Yeah, I think that's a good game to play on the Switch for sure.
I think it would be the best platform to play that game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the nature of the Switch being so co-op focused with all the controllers and stuff, and the portability of it, the casualness of just picking up, playing a level, works great with that game. I can already see it make perfect sense.
I feel like that makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. The one thing that's holding me back from diving in on the Switch version, though, is I would love to get the Platinum Trophy in this game on PS4.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I just want to play the game, Christian. No,
yeah, me too. For you, do you think this is a day one?
Yeah, for sure. I've already told myself that, by the end of the summer I want to have a Switch. So
nice.
We'll make sure that this is in hand October 20th.
Can't wait. Gonna be a good day.
Yeah.
That's gonna be quite a review episode. Remember how we did Jedi Fallen Order?
That's true. I wonder if Jack Martin's going to get it.
Oh, I bet he will. I bet he's going to have all 9 of those things completed by the time we get to it.
He's going to do freaking 36 hours straight through it.
Honestly, he might already have it.
He's probably done with it already.
Yeah, because I don't know if he has inside knowledge about this. Considering how fast he beat Fallen Order, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a QA tester on that game.
Yeah, that would be a huge plot twist though.
But when it comes to Fallen Order, we do have a little more information about the future of the franchise, because now EA is claiming it is a franchise.
Yeah, they officially commented on it.
Yep, so EA CEO Andrew Wilson recently came out and said that, quote, Jedi Fallen Order was the start of a franchise. Sequels are on the way.
So what do you think? Like, how many sequels are we looking at? I know, so it must be 2 plus. Do you think it's a trilogy?
I think we at least absolutely get a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
I think trilogy is the safe bet. I think it makes sense. I think depending on where they go with the fate of Cal will influence the Star Wars Jedi, I think is the way they're phrasing the franchise name.
Yeah, it's probably going to be like Star Wars Jedi something else.
Yeah, because I believe... I can double check this, but I think it was Star Wars Jedi : Fallen Order.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so yeah, the banner is probably Star Wars Jedi. Yeah, I think 2 games with Cal, maybe depending on if Night Sister Marin gets training, if we get more Jedi, maybe cameo appearances from other protagonists of other Star Wars media.
Probably.
Maybe they carry on the series. It would be very cool to get an Ahsoka game under the Star Wars Jedi banner.
That would be very cool.
But yeah,
yeah.
For
do you think the Star Wars Jedi banner is just like going to be Cal Kestis specific, or is it going to be other?
I don't know, because like I would assume yes, because of how perfectly they tee up a sequel at the end of Fallen Order.
Yeah.
That it would be weird if Star Wars Jedi 2 is a Cal Kestis game and then Star Wars Jedi 3 isn't.
Yeah, it would be, right?
Yeah.
I would rather see like a through line, like 3 story, like a 3 game arc for Cal Kestis.
I would like that as well, and I think you could still carry the Star Wars because of just how like broad that banner is of Star Wars Jedi. Tell Cal's story across 3 games and then pick a new character. Pick a character that we haven't seen fully explored in a big portion of their life, you know?
Well, yeah, you could still just do Star Wars Jedi, whatever.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
be a new game.
Yeah. But yeah, are you hopeful about this series, this franchise in the future?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is like one of the best Star Wars games. Maybe one of the best games ever.
That's a claim.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I did too. I think that the sequel will be up there with some of the best sequels in games, you know, like people point to Uncharted 2, Assassin's Creed 2 as like fully capitalizing on what was good about the first one and just making it so good.
Right.
So
this is going to definitely do the same. Probably exceed those titles you mentioned.
Yeah. If they could just lock down a solid 60 frames,
yeah,
then it's perfect.
That's what they got to do. That's the challenge. You got to respawn. So,
interesting to see how the dawn of developing for SSDs is going to influence that game, because now that consoles are adopting SSDs, they can really optimize performance, load times, file sizes of things. So curious to see how that makes it step up, and in turn it's going to influence the PC performance as well, just because you can optimize it for like more powerful things in general, you know?
Yeah, it's going to be already predispositioned to that, but yeah, it's definitely going to be a next gen game. So
yeah. So when do you think we see a tease at the next game? I know we talked about this a little bit with the DLC last week, but when do you think we get a little nugget of maybe the title or something?
2021.
Nice. E3, you think?
Probably early 2021.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this year we might get that weird Star Wars game that's been speculated on.
Yeah, probably.
But
I mean, I think if everything went well, it'd be like early 2021. I could see it being late 2021.
Yeah, I could see that as well. Maybe a Game Awards 2021 thing.
Yeah, it's possible.
So
I don't think we're going to see that game till like 2023.
Yeah, I think for how well received it was, that Respawn has probably earned, like, they earned some respect, I guess, from EA when it comes to having to hit deadlines, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? So, because I think you and I and Jack all kind of came down on the fact that the biggest downside of Fallen Order was that it needed like another couple months.
Yeah, it needed a few more months in the kitchen, that's for sure.
So, hopefully for the sequel they have earned that. I assume they have.
Yeah, so. the EA will let them do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, there's one other thing we're going to talk about this week before we get to the main topic. And that is a video that was circulating on Twitter. It was an excerpt from Disney Gallery's The Mandalorian, the documentary series going on. You been keeping up with that?
I watched the first episode. I haven't watched the second one yet. But yeah, I enjoyed the first episode. I think I mentioned that on last week's podcast. What about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed the first episode a lot. It's really cool seeing behind the scenes and sort of the creative minds talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
And episode 2 I didn't get to watch yet, but seeing this quote, and Jack texted me and basically said that episode 2 is like the Filoni TED Talk, so I'm really excited to watch it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so there's a quote that's been coming out and blowing up on Twitter. Both of us rewatched it before the show. Basically, it's Dave Filoni talking about how important the Duel of the Fates is in The Phantom Menace. Very clearly, Filoni has had in-depth conversations with George Lucas about the creative choices of the prequels.
Yeah, it really just sounds like it's coming straight from George.
Yeah, honestly. One of the tweets that had the video in it, I saw their caption of it was basically like, you can tell they are grooming this man to take over the franchise.
Yeah, for good thing that they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we touch on that aspect of it, I want to talk to you about what he actually said, because it kind of recontextualized a little bit of the trilogy for me, not just what some people were running with of like, man, I really respect Qui-Gon as a character now. What was the biggest takeaway for you with what he said?
Honestly, I think it's because I never thought of that fight in that way, like the larger implications of it.
Yeah. Do you want to give a quick rundown of it? Basically, what he said.
Yeah, sure. So Dave Filoni, he said essentially, that fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul at the end of Phantom Menace is a fight for the fate of Anakin Skywalker, because Qui-Gon Jinn, as we all know, very much distrustful of the Jedi Council and the Jedi Order. Dave Filoni makes the point that Qui-Gon Jinn thought a Jedi should be able to love, and so while he's fighting Maul, he's basically fighting for the fate of Anakin Skywalker, and Qui-Gon loses. And at first, Obi-Wan Kenobi trains Anakin because of a promise he made to Qui-Gon, but they didn't really jive on the same intellectual level about the Jedi Order. Mm-hmm. And Obi-Wan ends up becoming a brother to Anakin rather than the father figure that he needs. Is that a good summarization of it?
Great. So for you, we've talked a little bit about Qui-Gon on the show. I feel like I like him more than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always thought he was...
Definitely true.
Just from like watching Phantom Menace as a kid, I think the reason I thought Darth Maul was so scary maybe was because he killed Qui-Gon, and I liked Qui-Gon in Episode 1 more than Obi-Wan.
Yeah, because Obi-Wan in Episode 1's kind of like a side character.
Yeah, I loved Qui-Gon. I don't know if it was the green lightsaber, what it was, but he was sick. He was one of my favorite characters growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing Filoni talk about the fight, I guess in the context of like him fighting for Anakin, is something I never really thought of. I always considered like, Qui-Gon, the Duel of the Fates, I figured it was like Jedi versus Sith maybe. I never really thought about it that much. I just like, oh, that's a cool name,
Yeah, no, I always thought of it honestly like Jedi versus Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Which like now in hindsight doesn't really make much sense when you consider what Dave Filoni was talking about.
Yeah, like I think you could probably run with it of like, it's a matter of who will continue. Like, will the Sith return? Is that like if Maul wins, does that mean the Sith return
Right.
versus the Jedi? Will the Jedi be able to continue their dominance? And I guess the fact that the Sith get knocked down temporarily and then the Jedi get killed in that fight kind of represents the whole trilogy.
Yeah,
in a way.
it kind of does.
But yeah, from Filoni's contextualization of it, I have even more of an appreciation for the story they tell across those 3 movies now.
Yeah, and honestly, for any listener out there, I mean, I agree with you, Christian. But for any listener out there who hasn't seen it, probably should. Just with just the way that Dave Filoni describes it is very. He has a very captivating way of storytelling, even just with his words.
Yeah, and that was at the directors' roundtable. So like Bryce Dallas Howard, Deborah Chow, they're all there, and they're just like locked into the way he's talking about it, which was just really cool to see.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So that brings me to my next question about this. In terms of the future, where does Dave Filoni fit here? Do you think he's gonna become the what's his name? The Marvel. Why am I forgetting his name?
Kevin Feige.
Kevin Feige, thank you. Do you think he's gonna be like the Kevin Feige of Star Wars? Do you think he's gonna basically take the George Lucas role and sort of be story lead on like where do you see him fitting in this franchise now?
I see him as maybe like a producer role, like a Kevin Feige way. But I think his main emphasis will always be story because I think he has such a good, instinct for what George Lucas would have done.
I feel like he like relies on Lucas a lot still to this day, even because like very deliberately, I think in all of the Clone Wars episodes for this season at least, and I think all of them in general, the first credit you see was Lucas, right?
Yeah. I think it's definitely like, you got to think about the history that the two people have together.
Yeah.
George Lucas really like helped Dave Filoni and like mentored him in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's he's the chosen one.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm pretty sure like in interviews as well, Lucas has basically said he's like a son.
Yeah.
And just that dynamic and seeing the respect he has for the history and just like he gets it,
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think it is because of that Lucas training.
I don't know what, it only makes sense, right?
Yeah, because like it's weird, I think, comparing it to Kevin Feige because I brought it up because I wanted to see where your head was at with it. Because with Feige and Marvel has such a history that like if you do your research, a lot of people could get that, and obviously as a producer that's a complete other skill set you need. But with Star Wars, I feel like so much of the history outside of what's already there is Lucas. So having that training and having that influence, I do think you're totally right, is a lot of it.
Yeah, he's he's the next reincarnation, if you will.
Yeah. JJ thought he was.
He's not.
No. So I'm curious to see how his, to quote the prequels, we'll be watching a career with great interest.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
Yeah.
so far so good.
Absolutely. And yeah, I guess that kind of leads into what we wanted to talk about today in terms of the original finale we have and where we're looking for the future with The Rise of Skywalker. Because this past week, both of us, having received the film available through Disney Plus, decided to rewatch it.
I noticed that Disney Plus doesn't have Solo yet.
It's coming. Netflix has it for like 2 more months.
Okay. Well, it's just interesting they have all of them except for that.
Yeah, I think it's because so since Solo came out after Episode 8, the contract for Episode 8 expired before the Solo contract.
It makes sense.
Yeah, so I believe Solo is coming in July.
Okay.
So we're not too far away.
I have Netflix anyway, so whatever.
Yeah. So we revisited The Rise of Skywalker to, I guess, see how time has changed anything, if at all. And I think it's fitting to talk about it in line with this, I guess, hindsight of the Clone Wars and Filoni and this interview. Where's your head at with The Rise of Skywalker today?
It completely misses everything that Star Wars is about. Full stop.
That is damning.
Yeah.
So previously, I think last time we talked about it was the second time we each saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I think so.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think we both came in a similar place of like, it's fun to watch, it's a fun ride, but like at the end of the day, it's just very disappointing.
Yeah, I think that's basically where I was at the first time.
Yeah, so we've gone further down from there.
Significantly. What about you?
Ooh. I still like, I think it's fun, you know, it feels Star Warsy in its, like, in a superficial way. Like, I can tell there's definite heart there, and I can tell that, like, the people who were making it were excited to make it, because that energy, I think, is still very much there. But in terms of a movie, and in terms of a finale to this incredible story, yeah, it's just still very underwhelming to me. And like at the end of the day, I kind of think that we didn't need to end here, but I'm kind of glad we did.
I'm not glad that we did. Well, I mean, I'm glad that we ended it here, but I'm not glad about the way that it ended.
Yeah, sure. Like, I'm disappointed with it. I think it's a fun movie to watch, but like, when I say I'm glad it ended, I mean more of like, I'm glad this chapter's done, so now we can just hit something new. Like, give me the Taika project.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that they're moving away from this, because honestly, it's about time. Like, we just need to stop. But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing, what really gets me about it is that I would honestly say I feel opposite to you. I feel as though like there is no soul to this movie. Like, it feels very manufactured to me.
Yeah, I think it might just be my own language when talking about movies, but like I feel like there's heart in terms of like the people making it wanted it to be good and like had fun doing it, but I do think the soul of it comes down to at the very core what's here, and it's a lot of, again, it's very superficial surface level stuff, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't do justice to like what I would have expected it to, like, just even from the beginning. Like the whole like just Palpatine is back and we're not going to answer like why or how. That still rubs me the wrong way. I'm not sure. What about you?
Yeah, I've seen people over the past, like 5 months now, like come out and say that, you know what, the seeds were there for Palpatine. I don't really buy that. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about Episode 8 and the Rey cloning thing, and then talking about how Palpatine was using the clones, like in the cave, the mirror image. And I still don't buy it. Like, I really think in that moment, in the seeds of 7 and 8, Rey, in 7, I think she was probably teed up to actually be a Skywalker. In 8, I think that we very clearly get the answer. She's a nobody. She's a random person who fits into the story that's going to redeem the Skywalkers. And then we just go back on it, and I think my biggest problem with 9, looking back at it again, is that it just, the pace is insane. Like, there is too much going on, and it feels superficial in a way that, like, there's no time to breathe because there's no implications or not even consequences, but like, it feels like there's no ripples for the actions they're doing. It just feels like they're going places to do things, and it's a fun ride, like a roller coaster is, but like, I don't feel happy after a roller coaster, you know?
Yeah. The pacing is ridiculous. It feels like they want to just cram like as much as they possibly can into like one movie. Yeah.
Is there anything that you like? Like, is there any? Well, I'm sure there's things you like, but like, the things that the movie gets right, what are they to you? Like, as a Star Wars fan that went into this looking for a grand finale, like, what are the things that you think work with the Rise of Skywalker?
You know, like truly, like not much, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really don't like any of the choices that they made with any of the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I don't like the fact that they brought back Carrie Fisher. I think it's very strange, but if I were to praise anything in like in a weird way, because like I'm not really into the fact that she's in this movie, like it's obvious that they had to write around her, and I think it's distracting.
Yeah.
Um,
But like
I mean,
I agree with you. I don't like necessarily blame them, because if that was the direction they chose, yeah. But like, if that's all they had to work with, I think they did an okay job with it. But it's still not like,
yeah, I just don't do it. I think
yeah.
that's what I have to say about that. But they did it, and I think that honestly, in a way, that's one of the more redeeming parts of the movie. I just like how they. I don't even really like how they did Kylo Ren in this movie, but I
I
like how they did his redemption.
Yeah, to me, this thing that really works and feels at its core Star Wars to me is the scene between him and Han. Still,
Yeah, I think that's really like that movie's peak to me.
yeah, like I think the essence there. I don't know if it's because of nostalgia, because of Harrison Ford there in that scene, but like, to me, it's like getting the themes of Star Wars more than most of the other aspects of the movie. And even in the Filoni quote, he's talking about that Star Wars, at the end of the day, you boil it down, it's about family.
Yeah.
I totally think there's such an interesting thing, an interesting story you can tell with the idea of a main character discovering she's the lineage of the Emperor that was horrible, tyrannical ruler of the galaxy, shedding that and finding new family. But like, it had to have been teed up, like, they didn't need to tell that story after we said she was a nobody, like, I feel like there's just so many things they're trying to walk back on in 9 that it just, I'm with you, like, it feels jumbled and it feels like there's no time to breathe or deal with any of it. And a lot of the characters and the positives around them kind of sacrificed for that.
Yeah, I really don't. I really just don't like this movie. And it's really upsetting to me. And like, I don't mean to be negative, but like, I just don't understand the basic premise. Just doesn't make any sense. Like from the beginning, like it's just ridiculous. Like there's just so much that they want you to swallow without like any explanation, and I can't do it.
Yeah, and like, to an extent, because it's a finale, I'm someone who could like basically look at it with like the ends justify the means in terms of if there is plot holes, because I don't really get hung up on plot holes at all, even in hindsight.
It's not the fact that there are plot holes, Christian. Like if they didn't have a clear like way, like they didn't know what the ending of this trilogy was when they started, and that was their first mistake.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I just mean like in terms of the whole like, oh, Palpatine's back. Like if they did something interesting within the confines of Episode 9 with that idea, I would have been okay with it, I think.
Sure, yeah, they should have given some sort of explanation around it. The whole thing just makes me frustrated. Like I don't understand how you would make a trilogy and not think about how you wanted it to end. It's very obvious that they didn't follow. Or if they did, they didn't follow it at all.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing with me in 9. It's like, we had at least a foundation, like I really do think my biggest hang up in our initial review was the fact that this didn't need to be the ending. And I still feel that way. Like, even if they did bring back JJ to like right the wrongs of 8, which they didn't really need to do, that's what they did here, and then it failed.
They shouldn't have done it.
No, there was a foundation to build up, like at the end of 8 we leave off with a resistance that needs to rebuild, a Jedi Order that could be restructured and retooled to have a new outlook on things, a Qui-Gon-esque outlook on things.
Yeah.
And a new villain with Kylo Ren.
No, it's because... Yeah. They squandered it.
Yeah. But I will say, it's still a fun thing to watch. I'm usually locked in if I want to watch a movie. Like, I phone off or silenced, and then I'm just there. But, like, I was checking Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it before, so.
Yeah, like, it's one that's, like, it's fun to watch when there's the exciting stuff happening on screen, but that's never what Star Wars has been, you know?
Yeah, honestly, like, I don't really think that this movie is very fun to watch because it just makes me sad.
Yeah.
What really makes me upset about the entire thing, and I know this is mostly just me ripping on this movie, but what really makes me upset is the ending. When they have, like, oh my god, they have, like, the freaking, like, Avengers Endgame, like, and, like, I'm Iron Man kind of crap happening with Rey and the Emperor. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. He had his line of that. He had, I am the Senate, you know, like, he doesn't have to be, I'm all the Sith or whatever.
I know, but it's just, like, it's the same kind of cue that, like, it's obvious that, like, it's just so contrived and, like, so manufactured, and it just makes me really sad.
Yeah, dude, I remember when I think the second time I think we talked about this on our second time viewing it. Like, I came in, I was like, it hit me in theater. They ripped off I am inevitable, I am Iron Man.
It's straight up a ripoff.
Yeah, and, like, it works there because you have momentum to that. It's like, here, you're right, it just feels like squandered, feels half-baked, and it feels like it's a sloppy ending, but it's an ending that was, like, first viewing it was inoffensive, I think. And then as time has gone on, it's just been like, you know what? I'm fine forgetting about this and just moving on. I'm not really angry about it. Like, it happened. Different era. Give me Taika. Give me Favreau.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I don't know, man. It's just sad. Like, the whole thing is just so sad to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, What's up?
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, it feels to me like they threw out Anakin Skywalker, like, his whole thing, and it's like, what's the point at that point?
Yeah, and it's funny because when we get the sequence of all the Jedi reaching out to Rey again, which, like, weird that they waited that long, you know? Like,
right, yeah. You had, like, at least a year.
Anakin said, I forget what his line is, but it's like, bring balance to the Force like I did. You know? It's something like that.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like, I think at its core, it's just something that wanted a conclusion, but it wasn't ready yet.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be negative. If you're more positive on this movie than I am.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm positive, but it's definitely. I actually re-ranked the Rise of Skywalker.
Did you?
Our ranking, yeah.
I didn't, but I can easily do it.
So let me tell you, I took a little adventure out today with the girlfriend because she's been in a Star Wars mood as well, and I was, like, just talking with her a lot about it, and she rewatched 4, 5, 6, 7 on Star Wars Day.
Okay.
Drove to Chick-fil-A, had our masks on, got some milkshakes, and then we were talking about Star Wars stuff, and I pulled up my Letterboxd ranking, and because she ranked them, and I was like, why is Rise of Skywalker this high?
On hers?
No, on mine.
Oh, wow.
It was before, where is it? Jedi Knight Star Wars ranking. Before, it was, I'll just read through as a refresher.
Wait, this is your before.
This is my before.
Okay.
It was, I'll go top to bottom. So starting with number 1, starting with the hotness. It was Empire Strikes Back, The Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, Episode 3, A New Hope, The Rise of Skywalker, Solo, Rogue One, Episode 2, Episode 1.
Okay.
In that car, milkshake in hand, Mike, I edited the list, dragged Rise of Skywalker all the way down.
Yeah. So what's the list now?
It is basic. So it's Empire, Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Revenge of the Sith, New Hope, Solo, Rogue One, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Rise of Skywalker.
So Rise of Skywalker is your least favorite Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Very, very interesting. So my list. What?
I was asking you what yours is.
Oh yeah. So my prior list: Empire Strikes Back, Return. This is from top to bottom. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, The Force Awakens, A New Hope, The Rise of Skywalker, Rogue One, Phantom Menace, Solo, The Last Jedi, and Attack the Clones. But I've since moved The Last Jedi, actually, and The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
So, Empire, so this is a new list. So, at the top, Empire, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, The Force Awakens, A New Hope, Rogue One, Phantom Menace, The Last Jedi, Solo, Attack the Clones, The Rise of Skywalker.
Nice. You know, that's character growth, Mike. That's the Last Jedi earning its status that we will eventually get to. You know, in time, it's just gonna keep going up.
Honestly, I think it may. I the more and more I watch The Last Jedi, the more I appreciate what Rian Johnson's trying to do.
I don't want to say I told the world this, but I did look up Chris and Buckley Star Wars on Twitter to see what my Star Wars tweets were about over the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2017 or like January 2018. It was a quote tweet of a Last Jedi thing, and I was like, in a year you'll all see why this is so good, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it definitely was trying to do stuff, and like, it's a shame that it was never built upon.
Yeah, so maybe ground running with Rian Johnson's trilogy. We get that.
It's possible.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
I still believe that that's coming. I don't know how you land on that. He talked about it recently.
Rian Johnson. Oh, how recently?
Within the last 6 months, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still possible.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, I think the quote was, once he did Knives Out 2, then it was all Star Wars time.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and like considering the fact that he said that publicly and like Disney is allowing him, I guess, to be like, you know what, take your time with your fun detective movie and then do your trilogy, makes me hopeful.
Well, they realize they got more stuff on deck that they can do in the meantime.
No, yeah, I just mean in terms of like, we want you to work for us first. Like, I think it speaks highly of their opinion of him and his work.
Yeah, because I think that they did enjoy working with him, probably with The Last Jedi and stuff.
Yeah, and critically, they were probably very happy with it, you know, from a critic perspective.
Yeah, the fan perspective, though, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that's gonna change in time, I think.
I think you're right. Honestly, I think you're very right.
It feels good, Mike. It feels good to be vindicated.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. Man, if you like, you know how you came in with like the big binder and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if I were like a jury, I would have voted to acquit.
All right.
You.
So I guess my final question then, unless you have a lot of stuff still to say about episode 9, is in time, would you like to see us revisit this era in terms of like an animated series, an episode 10 picking up in the timeline in like 10-15 years? Like, ideally, what would you like to see from this era / group of characters?
I want to get like one book or like one comic book series about like what happens after the Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm.
Exploring like maybe Rey opens up a new Jedi Order.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Finn becomes a Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's all I want to see. They can move on now.
Yeah, it feels weird, I think, to want them to move on, because to me, at the core of it, I feel like the eras we're familiar with are like just so much of what I think about Star Wars, even more than like the Old Republic is. Because like I know the Old Republic has its fans, and I think it's really cool, but it still feels like, to me, from what I've experienced of it, it's lacking something that I think the Saga films, the Skywalker Saga, has, that I don't think it's impossible to replicate for a new beginning. I think it needs to be something that I can't think of, you know?
Yeah, I think it needs to be something completely fresh, something completely new. And I think we're going to get that in due time.
For sure, yeah. So, but in terms of this cast, or this group of characters, like, I'd be cool with a comic, or maybe like Resistance style, like a 1 to 2 season show.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah, I just want to see Finn be a Jedi.
I'm sure John Boyega agrees with you.
Yeah.
He's constantly... I saw him, because he loves Battlefront 2, right?
Yeah.
I saw him at EA, I think, or DICE, and they were like, so when you add Finn's force powers to the game?
Honestly, though, like, good for him for being so vocal about his great character.
Yeah.
They really squandered him.
Yeah, it's at least cool to see the way he's being very vocal about his opinions on it, you know, even if you don't agree with his sentiments about the character or the place it ended up. Like, I think it's good that he's getting out there with it, you know, and he's still kind of positive and celebrated among the fans of Star Wars, you know. It's just,
I think he's more positive than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoy his presence, and I enjoy how he embraces his character.
Yeah, he's a good follow on social medias.
Yeah, it's funny. I just think it's so funny how he loves to play Battlefront.
Yeah, that's so good. I saw his main on Heroes Villains is Bosk, so he's like, if you get knocked out with the gas, you know it's me.
Is it really? That's so funny.
Yeah. And then everyone was like, why don't you play as Finn? And he's like, he like scrolled through all of his characters, and he's like, so I thought Finn was my lowest character, but I guess it was somebody else. And then that's how how the tweet came up of like, when you add in Finn's force powers. But,
that's so funny.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, I don't think I'll be watching episode 9 for a while.
Yeah, for maybe a long time.
Yeah. Like, the next time I go through all of them, I'll watch it, but it's a random Wednesday, I'm going to be watching 7 or 8 if it's one of the sequels.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, episode 2, Attack the Clones, like, I don't really like that movie very much, but, like, it's still something that, like, I could throw on and, like, watch and be like, okay, you know, like, like, this is fine. Like, I turned on The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm really just upset the entire time. I don't even want to watch it.
I mean, that's fair, you know. It's not one I'd watch for fun. I do think the one that's most easily, like, cue it up for an afternoon or something, if you just need background noise or want to enjoy something. Out of the 3, I think it's Force Awakens, but yeah, 7 or 8 is good picks, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, in conclusion, that is the sequel era.
Yeah.
I'm curious. I think the next time we get a big focus on it might actually end up being, if there is any news about the development of it all, more than anything else. But it's an interesting era, and I'm curious to see how the other 2 films and this one change over the next 10 years in terms of the fan reception.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. These things are always constantly evolving. We see that with the prequels and the original trilogy, so we'll see.
I don't know if it was because of Clone Wars just emphasizing it, but I think favorite era for me, I feel like it's been this way for a little while, but like the passion is now here. Favorite era, I think, is the prequels.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love the prequels.
Yeah, like
except for Attack the Clones, but there's still some heart in that one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my favorite trilogy, but it's definitely my favorite era. Like, ever since Battlefront 2 on the PS2, it's like it was always most fun to play clones droids over troopers rebels.
Yeah,
for me.
Very true.
Yeah, well, unless you have any final words, Mike, that is gonna do it for episode 31.
Yeah. I guess if you want to follow me on anything, follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, it is at Chris N. Buckley. Instagram's been slacking because I can't take pictures of anything except things in my house. So maybe I missed out. Maybe I should have taken a picture of that Chick-fil-A shake because, boy, that was good.
You should have. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been having. I'm not sure if it's, where do you post the song one?
So the song is on my private Instagram for like family and stuff, but on my I'll get some recommendations on my my front facing social media. But I have been doing all the games that I complete this year.
Oh, okay.
Throwing those up on the Instagram stories. There's a highlight reel on my IG page with all of them so far.
Come check it out. Is that what's the it's Chris N. Buckley?
Yep, it's spelled how it sounds. And if you're listening to this show, you're on a podcast service like Apple Podcast or Spotify. If you're on a podcast service that allows you to rate or review or subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated if you did so the show would just keep improving in time. If you're watching this, you're on youtube.com/joyclicks, where there is other video content as well. Video essays upcoming. There's one I'm planning on The Last of Us to come out May 29th, the day of the original release date for part 2.
Wow.
So that's going to be a ride, but that's going to do it. As always, it's been a pleasure, Mike.
As always.
I miss talking about the acclaimed.
I know. We should go back and watch some of the ones that we skipped over.
Maybe we'll find we'll talk to Jack and figure out what the worst arc is that he had to skip and maybe review that.
We should definitely do that.
Yeah. But that is going to do it. And until next time, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
General Kenobi.